New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg never supported the rebuilding plan and let us all down. New York Senators Chuck Schumer and Hillary Clinton have been absolutely despicable in this matter by letting down every American. This is the image that they have left us. Don't any of these people remember or even care what happened on September 11, 2001? Maybe they need to see the picture of terror again and again and again. Maybe, just maybe, they should stop blaming America for what happened on 9/11. Every American needs to look at these pictures every single day. But in my opinion, the failure of rebuilding the Twin Towers rests largely with the developer, Larry Silverstein. Larry Silverstein has held most of the legal rights to rebuild the tower. He has awarded $5 billion in insurance money for the buildings he owned. Billions more have been allocated by Congress in exempt Liberty bonds, meaning that we have the people had no say in this matter. On April 27, 2006, the ground was broken on the new Freedom Tower. They have been continually changing the design, so who knows what will ultimately be built there. The progress of American Freedom Center can be seen here at www.projectbirth.org. But one thing seems to be strongly possible now: the Twin Towers, as they were, or in a new, improved design, may never be built there. I, for one, hate to admit defeat, but I'm a realist, and things are not looking good for the Twin Towers plan. I still think we need to keep the pressure on to have the Twin Towers rebuilt. Let me also make this perfectly clear. While I'm saddened with the way things have gone, truly I am mad as hell about it. I'm much more angry at this point than sad, but I'm trying to keep this page civil. Anti-American conspiracy nuts. Even though it seems as though a majority of Americans want the Twin Towers to be rebuilt, there is a negative undercurrent running through the idea. I try to avoid becoming political about this subject, but because I thought we were all Americans and loved our country. But sadly, this is not the case. Conspiracy theories all around nut jobs like Rosie O. Dingbat and Charlie. I did a little too much cocaine, Sheen. Put forth the notation that our own government, and specifically President George W. Bush, blew up the towers in some evil plans to make money or to start a war or some other such nonsense. But these idiots who probably have never finished high school don't know a thing about history. Do Rosie and Charlie truly like the stable people to you? Look like stable people to you? Rosie is hanging upside down because she tells us she is depressed, and Charlie Sheen has much more cocaine overdoses than Rolling Stone Keith Richards. No offense, Keith. At least you're honest about your life. And for the record, Rosie, fire melts steel every day. You numbskull. What happened here, Rosie? Was this an inside job too? The elevated section of highway that carries traffic from the east end of the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge was leveled on April 29, 2007. Heat from the tanker explosion on the westbound 580 melted the upper road of the MacArthur Maze. The fire was intense, enough to cause the tanker truck to basically melt away, according to the crew on the scene. There is going to be a revamped internet movie out on this very subject, out in theaters very soon. The movie, whose title I will not mention, gets about a dozen facts wrong in the first 5 minutes. This kind of anti-Americanism contributes to the idea that there is no sense in rebuilding the Twin Towers as they were. Just to set the record straight, popular mechanics have invested in depth that there were no planned explosives or massive conspiracy to blow up the towers as put forward by these nuts. It's sad to say that some polls, many of those asked about, is now actually believe this garbage, that our U.S. government blew up the Twin Towers and planned 9/11. Do you believe alternate theories for the September 11 attacks are credible? 69% said yes, 31% said no. If you remember, those were the same percentiles of people that wanted the Twin Towers built and people that didn't want the Twin Towers rebuilt. All I can say is what an ignorant time we live in when the members of one of the mainstream political parties called our president a modern-day Hitler. Besides being a huge insult to those millions who were murdered by Hitler, this comparison is preposterous. You can agree with the president on some things as I do, and disagree with him on others as I do. But there is a very large percentage of the population who now have the very real disease of Bush derangement syndrome. This disease is very real and clouds the thinking of many Americans. Of course, this is propagated by about 80% of the media, so it's almost no wonder why the mindless lemmings believe this notion. There are literally hundreds of celebrities and politicians who openly and gleefully hate the president and put forth the crazy notion that he orchestrated the 9/11 attacks. How is that these people make statements almost identical to those in Al-Qaeda and those who want to kill us? Whose sides are these people on? Who really gives a crap about Sean Penn thinks about what Sean Penn thinks about this anyway? In one breath, they tell us President Bush masterminded the most spectacular terrorist attack in history. And then people like Donald Trump himself labels President Bush the dumbest man ever to hold the presidency. This from a man who makes a living by sucking quarters out of window purses in a non-stop 24-hour orgy of slot machines in Atlantic City. His thoughts for rebuilding the Twin Towers is a good one, but I am not pressed with him as a man. Well, which is it, people? Is Bush the Antichrist or the goofy guy on the cover of Mad magazine? For consistency's sake, you can't have it both ways. The fight is not over yet, but we may in the last days of it. These are not the best pictures of the Twin Towers that you will ever find. But I don't care. These are the pictures. These are my pictures. These are pictures of the World Trade Centers. We can still believe in miracles, and maybe a way can be found to make the Twin Towers rise once again. Keep up the fight. Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. These are the colors of the American flag. These colors don't run. Neither should you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through that night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner